Welcome back to the channel, guys, and today I want to talk through everything there is to know about planting up a GreenStalk in fall in Florida. I'll share some of what I've got going in a GreenStalk right now. I've got an original planter with sweet potatoes in it. I'll show you that. I have a leaf planter with turmeric and ginger growing in it. And right here you can see I have the GreenStalk seed house. And you can see my contender bush beans popped up. I planted these in my video last week. So in today's video, as we talk through some planting considerations, I want to actually do some things. We'll be direct seeding in here. I got some more contender bush beans, and I also want to do some seed starting. I got the brand new Dragonfly Teal seed starter kit, and I can't wait to show you guys that color. And I got the sprout markers too. So we'll be using that today. And I get a lot of questions about what to plant in a GreenStalk and maybe how to plant it up. And we're just going to talk through all of that as we do some seed starting and some direct seeding. So let's get into it. Here is my original GreenStalk full of sweet potato slips. I actually planted one in every pocket, and I see a lot of advice online saying one for every other pocket. I just figured I'd try it and see if I could really cram a lot of sweet potatoes in there. And this wine bottle tucked in the terracotta spike right here is a nice slow way to add a little extra water or buy yourself a little bit of time before having to water again. And that's really helpful for me because this is tucked away in a spot on the side of my yard that sometimes doesn't get that much attention. We're on the side of my house in the backyard, and this is where I've planted my turmeric and ginger. You can see I've decreased the number of tiers. This is just a 4-tier GreenStalk, and these aren't crops that you would plant in the fall. I planted these, or I started them around April, I think, and these are going to go and be harvested maybe in March, or maybe it's a little earlier than March, but the point is they're long-term crops and they're doing well just kind of in a part sun area on the side of my house. So this is something that you could consider for your spring garden or something like that. I wouldn't plant them in fall, but I wanted to show them to you because as we think through the planting in a GreenStalk, inevitably we're going to think about when we want to free up space in a GreenStalk to plant something like a long-term crop like turmeric and ginger. So there's two main things I look at when it comes to planting the GreenStalk. And the first is the list of plants that are meant for the original GreenStalk and the leaf GreenStalk. This comes with your order every time you order a GreenStalk planter. And I'll put a picture of the PDF and a link to it from their website too. You can get it before you even buy one also. But basically, let me read through a few so you get the idea. The original GreenStalk tier it's 10 inches deep, and the leaf is 7 inches deep. So 10 inches is more appropriate for your larger crops. So if you want to do broccoli, cabbage, cantaloupe, cauliflower, eggplant, or peppers or tomatoes, or your sweet potatoes, that's when you would use the original planter. So that's why I just showed you so that's why right now I have sweet potatoes growing in my evergreen original GreenStalk. Now the leaf is 7 inches deep, and it's great for other crops and flowers like alyssum, arugula, basil. You'll see a lot of herbs. You'll even see root veggies on here like beets, carrots, and radishes. Yep, and turnips. They're all good for the leaf. And then we have bush beans, bok choy, arugula, kale, lettuce. So lots of your greens are going to go in a leaf planter. Now, if you only have an original, I think most of these leaf plants will work in the original. The problem is going from a larger crop. The problem is the other direction. You wouldn't want to use a larger crop in your leaf planter. They just need a lot more root space. So there's also strawberries on the leaf, which is what I plan to do in October this year. And I think that I get so many questions about what to plant in a GreenStalk. And if you just look at this list, there's onions on here. I mean, almost every crop you want to grow is listed on either the original or the leaf. You just might want to make choices when it comes to something like a tomato plant. You might want to do like a determinate patio tomato type that's a smaller plant. Or even, you know, whenever you can make a choice like that for the smaller version, you might want to do that. Or maybe a carrot, you might want to choose, there's an asterisk on the carrot. Let me see what they say. I think, oh yeah, you can have 3+ per pocket is what it says. This is a really helpful guide. I'm definitely going to put a picture on the screen. So you can have 3+ per pocket for arugula, beets, bush beans. We're going to fix that today because I just showed you where I had only 1 bush bean per pocket, but I got 3 more packets of contender bush beans. So we'll go over there and fix that and get 3 per pocket. And then radishes and peas, like a sugar snap pea or a shelling pea, you can do 3 per pocket, and spinach and lettuce too. So you can really dense pack a lot of food in there. Now today is August 5th, I think. So I'm in Central Florida. I'm also going to use my planting guide that I sell on my website, and I know a few of you guys have one as well. But this will tell you what plants are ready to be planted out in August. So we're basically going to match, you know, between the planting guide and what's applicable for the different types of green stalks. So if I'm looking at August, what to plant in the garden now, I see bush beans right there. I see contender bush beans. So there we go. We got contender bush beans, and those are direct sow for the planting method. So we don't need to do any seed starting for them. And it's really nice if you're about to plan like your last minute vacation before school starts and you want to direct sow something. It's just so much easier to leave town when that's the case versus having seed starting stuff and then trying to figure out how to water them when you leave town. And then, yeah, so August we can plant, let's look at the root veggies because I have a leaf over there. And so I want to, I have a leaf planter over there, and so I'm trying to look at the leaf plants, right? We have arugula, basil, beet, bush beans, carrots. So there are carrots that we can plant in August, although last year I had trouble in the fall getting them to germinate. But I'm a fan of trying, and then if it doesn't work, just try again. So I'm going to plant some carrots today. But carrots, again, we're just going to direct sow them in the seed. I mean, in the soil. We're not going to do seed starting. So when it comes to seed starting items, I think herbs are good candidates for that. We actually have some basil that's ready, so I can transplant some of that today too. And then we'll start a bunch more herbs. I need a lot of basil because of all the tomatoes that I'm growing this year, so I don't mind starting extra basil. And then maybe some chives if I have seeds. We'll see what herbs I have seeds for, but most herbs, the seeds are so tiny that you're probably better off seed starting them. If you don't seed start them and you put them out in a big soil area and then you're watering them, it's just very easy for those tiny little seeds to like float away in the water and end up where you didn't really plant them. But again, if you're in a bind and you're leaving town or something like that and you want to get something in the garden, you can direct sow. It's not like a hard and fast rule. And if we flip in the planting guide to what to prep now in the garden, this is where we see all the plants that we should be seed starting in August. August is a prime month for seed starting, especially when it comes to all of your cool weather crops, like your lettuces, arugulas, Brussels sprouts and broccoli and cabbage and cauliflower. So I think we're going to start some of those today in the seed starting kit. And we're just going to have a little fun with it. I would like to start flowers too, but I think I haven't bought the seeds, so I don't think I'm prepared to start flowers today. So let's get going, and the first thing I want to do is show you the Dragonfly Teal seed starter kit. It's so pretty. Look at this color. I know I've got some people out there who love the GreenStalk colors. I'm right there with you, but I haven't really dove into the colors. I've been kind of keeping it neutral. So this is a nice fun change for me. I'm just gonna set them all out. Remove the humidity domes. I'll use them, but not right this second. So we've got 6 of these trays that hold 6 plants. Oh, and then, so this is the tray and well, this is the carrying case and then the tray that goes on the bottom of the seed starter kit. So we don't need that right now. We're gonna focus on filling these with seeds and soil. And I also have the sprout marker to keep us organized. They're so cute. They're meant to fit. We'll have to try it when there's soil in there, but they're meant to fit like this and fit under the humidity dome too. So let's get going with the seed starting. Okay, I am gonna set aside the Johnny's Seed Big Beef Plus Indeterminate tomato. If you watched my video last week, I mentioned that I made a mistake and I bought a determinate tomato when I meant to buy an indeterminate tomato for the trellis system that I'm going to build. So I am going to start those today, but I'm going to hold them off to the side and do them in a little bit. And we're going to focus on our GreenStalk veggies right now. So we've got our seed starting trays or cells right here, and I'm going to put the soil right here. I've got a bunch of different seed starting mixes. I think I'm just going to go with this one first. The new one, to me, this is my first season using it, but so far so good with my tomato plants inside that are using it. Oh my gosh, you can tell I must have left some seeds in there. My son, one of the videos recently that I did, my son was doing some seed starting stuff, and we ended up just putting some of his clay soil back into the seed starting bag. So that's probably what those are from. So yeah, we're just gonna go ahead and put some soil in the seed starting tray. I do like to press down and make sure that the soil is firm in there. It doesn't have to be like really, really firm, but it has to be firm enough to where you look at the sides and you don't see holes or gaps. That's gonna, if you do have holes and gaps, it's gonna struggle to bring that water, when you bottom water, it's gonna struggle to bring that water up through that soil column and all the way up to the top roots, the surface roots, or the roots that are close to the surface. I think I want to try some broccoli and stuff in the GreenStalk. I've never grown. I actually was wondering where I would put them this year. So I think I'm going to try that. I hear a lot of, one time I posted a video on Instagram about flowers that I put in the GreenStalk. And I did them in this diagonal arrangement. So if you had like your leaf tier and you had your 6 pockets, I put, 6 different flowers in there. And then the next tier I did it in the same exact order, but when I stacked them together, I turned it so it was cockeyed by like 1, offset by 1. And I did that up the whole vertical space of the GreenStalk, and it turned out so cool, and I got so many comments about it. So if that's something you like, play around with it and do some diagonal patterns in your GreenStalk. You could do like one tier that has like basil, next to carrots, next to a patio tomato, next to some bush beans. You know, that'd be cool. And then you'd have 2 more slots to fill, so maybe some parsley too, and maybe some oregano. And then the next tier would be exactly the same, offset by 1 when you stack them. Sorry for the lawnmower noise. I feel like the lawnmowers never stop in this neighborhood. I don't know if you guys feel the same way, but sometimes I want to come outside and I want it to be peaceful and quiet. And it is so rare because there's always somebody's lawn company out here mowing their lawn. Sometimes it's the owner themselves, but today I think it's the worst ones today. They're so slow, I swear. They do that backyard for like a whole hour with 3 of them. But speaking of yard work, I started doing the edging myself. I've been mowing the lawn for a while, but I started doing the edging too. And I got one of those Ego string trimmers. 'Cause we converted all of our lawn equipment to like the electronic ones, the electric ones. Ego lawnmower, Ego string trimmer. And it's like so therapeutic to edge your lawn, to mow your lawn and try to make sure you're not missing a line or anything like that. And then you use the string trimmer and you make the edges look really nice. I actually love it. I did not grow up mowing the lawn. I mean, my dad mowed it a lot and he taught my brother how to do it, so my brother did it a lot. But I, just never was the one that learned how to do the lawn. It was never my chore when I was growing up, and so I mowed my first lawn, I think, when I was 30 years old. And here I am, hooked on it, trying to make my edging look really nice. What I like about these seed starting kits is there's 6 cells, and if you think about it, it's pretty similar to the 6 pockets on each tier of the GreenStalk. So you can basically make each one of these go with each tray or each tier in the GreenStalk. I think that's cool, and I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I think the tiers, do I have 6 tiers? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tiers over there. My other one on the other corner is exactly the same, 6 tiers. So maybe we'll try to do that. That way, when it comes time to transplant them, you'll take your 1 seed tray and your 1 tier. You'll be good to go. Of course, it's not really going to work out that way if I have direct sow crops like carrots and bush beans. All right, let's find the seeds and we'll seed start some brassicas. Oh, okay, we can do beets. Let's do Detroit dark red beets. Beets are interesting. They're like the one root veggie that you can seed start. And we'll do a Waltham 29 broccoli. I've seen people do cabbage in a GreenStalk, but I just don't know. Some of those that are like a head like that just doesn't seem like it's going to work very well. I think I'm going to set myself up for issues. But something like a broccoli, it has a stalk and then grows the broccoli. So it's kind of out of the way. We can do some Swiss chard too. We can direct sow some Swiss chard. We'll direct sow Swiss chard and carrots. Oh, we should seed start some collard greens. I don't think I'll put collard greens in the GreenStalk though. So I'm not going to seed start the really big crops like peppers and tomatoes that would go in the original, simply because I don't have space in my original, or maybe I should be buying another original. Maybe I should. What do you think? It's so incredibly humid right now. Okay, you know what? We're just going to do broccoli, collards, and beets for now. I can do a lot of beets. So let's see. They say beets do 3 per cell, or 3 per tier. Beets are pretty interesting because these seeds typically have more than one seed on the inside. This is like an outer cluster or shell or something for multiple seeds. So we're going to go ahead and plant that in there, about 1/2 inch deep. Oh, where's my little carrot? I brought my carrot. Do you guys have the little carrot? 1/2 inch. Maybe I'll do a lot of beets because I'll do 2 trays for beets. If you remember in my last video, I talked about how I kind of wanted to figure out why people struggle so much with beets. So let's see what happens if why don't we direct sow some and start them in the tray? That'd be cool, and we can see what happens. Although I wouldn't necessarily recommend. Let me look at my planting guide real quick and see if we might be too early for outside planting for beets. Yeah, we don't want to do the beets outside until September. We'll do them in September. We'll keep them in a seed tray for a month. These are Detroit dark red beets. I've tried golden beets before, and what's the other red type? The other red one that I've done before, I think it's Early Wonder. Early Wonder is the one that I've done before. Where did I put my Sharpie? So these little sprout markers, you just write on them with Sharpie, and then you take it off with acetone or rubbing alcohol whenever you want to reuse them for a different plant. So I'm going to write Detroit. Oh, my Sharpie. Detroit dark red beet. We're gonna put it right there. Cute. Let's do another one. Have you guys grown beets successfully? My golden beets and my early wonder, it was like patchy. Sometimes I got good beets and sometimes I didn't. So I don't know, I couldn't tell you exactly what I did right on the ones that worked, except maybe I was more patient and left them in longer if they weren't ready, you know? Sometimes that happens with root veggies. People are a little eager to pull them out when they would get bigger if we just waited. So I'm wearing this Rockledge Gardens hat, and it reminded me of, I wanted to tell you guys I have a seminar coming up on August 23rd. It's all about planning your fall garden, and the tickets are on sale now. I'm going to put a link in the description box for it so you guys can join me at the seminar. It'll be really fun. I did one back in June about starting a vegetable garden, and I'll do that same topic again in October. Right now we're going to focus on planning our fall garden on the August 23rd one. All right, so I got that one for beets. This beet right here. Put the humidity domes on top. I had so much fun at the seminar I did. It was like the whole audience was really, you know, when you go to an event or something and it's like everybody's on the same page, everybody's like into it and really engaging in the conversation, and it makes it so much more fun. And I encouraged them to, you know, ask questions along the way if something I said didn't make sense or something like that. I wanted the back and forth conversation, and it was so fun. People were asking all kinds of questions and sharing their experience about what worked and what didn't work, and some of them were brand new. Some of them had quite a bit of experience. There was one guy in Palm Bay he sounded like he had a really big setup. So that was cool, and I can't wait to do it again. I think it's really fun to meet people. I think it's hard to meet people just naturally, like in my neighborhood and stuff that do gardening because, well, for some reason people don't do it. I'm sure it has something to do with time, and another piece of it is probably they're not interested in it, some of them. So I find it a little bit hard to find friends that are interested in gardening. And so the seminars are a really fun way to find that. And I think it's fun for them too. Okay, we're going to do the Waltham 29 broccoli. I'm a little skeptical. I think these are going to need like a bamboo stake for support in the GreenStalk. But we're going to do it. 1/4 inch deep. Waltham 29. Oh my goodness, that's a lot of seeds. So not all of these. I mean, this is going to be 6 broccolis. I don't know that I'm going to put 6 broccolis in the GreenStalk. I also have this tree ring behind me, underneath that palm tree. That's another spot, like another landing spot where I would put brassicas like this, or my peppers or anything. The problem with this tree ring is that I don't have like drip irrigation on it. So it's a little bit unpredictable sometimes if I'm inconsistent with watering, you know. So I prefer to put it in the raised beds where I do have the drip irrigation installed, or the GreenStalk. Speaking of that, I have it nearby a source for water, so I could put some automatic drip into the top reservoir. And I think I will, but I don't think I need it right now because it's been raining so much. It's where I used to have my garden tower there, and I had the drip irrigation running through the whole soil column in the garden tower. It's the same spot. I just capped off the irrigation for a minute while I made the change from garden tower to GreenStalk. And now I could put the irrigation, like put the final pieces on the irrigation to let the water flow into the reservoir. Just haven't done that yet. Okay, that's broccoli. Let's do some collards. I love collard greens. Oh my gosh. They are so good if you cook them in your pot. You got to start it with some oil and butter. And butter gives it such good flavor, but if you have the heat too high, it'll burn. So if you add oil, it usually prevents the butter from burning. So I mix the two a little bit. And then you add some onions. I've got chopped yellow onions from the garden in the freezer right now. So I would just grab some of that. I've got garlic from the garden too. Oh, speaking of that, let me tell you a story about how I screwed up my garlic, my preserved garlic. I'll share that in a minute. Anyway, if you cook oil, butter, garlic, onion in the pot, and then you also sear some smoked ham hocks that I bought from like Publix in the smoked meat section it's by the fresh refrigerated meat. And oh my gosh, you fill up the pot with your chicken broth and your collard greens, Georgia Southern collard greens, the best collard greens. Of course, you got to remove the stem and everything like that and cut up the leaves into smaller pieces so you can actually eat it comfortably. And you cook it for a long time until the collards are very tender. And you got to taste along the way and make sure the salt is right, make sure the seasoning is right. And oh my gosh, they are so good. Every time we make them, my husband and I are like, I love them. We should grow more. So we're growing 6 collard greens right here. Georgia Southern collards. It's the only type of collards I'm going to grow from now on, so I'm just going to write collards. Last year I had 2 different varieties of collards. It was the Top Bunch 2.0 from Botanical Interest and the Georgia Southern collard green. And I thought it was so hard when the plants were young to figure out what plant that was in the garden. I couldn't tell if it was a Top Bunch 2.0 collard green or if it was broccoli, because something happened with my labels last year. Okay, they're gone. They disappeared, and I was left to just figure it out. So now I've sworn to myself that I'm only going to grow 2 varieties of something if there's a real purpose behind it, like a pickling and a slicing cucumber, or a slicer and a cherry tomato. For the rest of it, I'm just sticking with 1 variety. And so let me tell you what happened with my garlic. I don't know, maybe you guys, you'll have to let me know if I'm just clueless and I should have known this, but I don't think that food preservation, like somebody might say this is common knowledge, so here's what I did. I took my garlic, and I was worried about it curing because we live in such a humid place. I was like, how is this ever going to dry and cure? Maybe it would just be easier and more fail-proof if I were to just peel all the garlic, press all the garlic, put it in olive oil, and put it in the fridge. And then when it comes time to cook, it actually saves me time. I just grab a spoonful of it out of there and I put it back in the fridge. And then I learned that's a big no-no. Absolutely not. You'll get botulism, and it only lasts like 4 days in the fridge if you do that. So if you wanted to press it and put it in oil like that, you have to freeze it immediately. And when you buy the minced garlic in a jar, it's actually been boiled, and the boiling has brought that temperature up so high that it kills the botulism spores. It's the same concept as pressure canning. It kills any spores of the botulism so it won't grow. So anyway, I guess I had to throw away one of my jars of homegrown garlic because I pressed it and I put it in olive oil and I put it in the fridge. And then I learned about this and I learned that I'm probably making a botulism farm. So learn from my mistakes. Don't do that. Okay, I think we're done with seed starting for now. I'm gonna think about this one and figure out what I'm gonna put in here. And I gotta start those tomatoes too. Let's go over to the GreenStalk and we'll direct sow some stuff. All right, so let's do some direct sow. I want a lot of beans. My kids love green beans and I do too. Bush beans, direct sow in the leaf. Check, check, check. I think it would be really helpful if I basically made a GreenStalk planting guide, and so it showed us our timing, planting method, direct sow versus transplant, and also showed us original or leaf, and also the 3 per pocket, right? I just got a great idea. I'm gonna do that after I finish my strawberry book. And so let's go with the first thing I want to do is add more beans up here. We've got 1 looking good, but I want to do 3 per pocket. I'm gonna spread them out a little bit. Use my little carrot to make a hole. Two more beans. 1, 2. And then we put, you know what, maybe I should leave it off on purpose. Or I'll flip it around on purpose because we're gonna spin this around and I'm gonna seed all of them on the top row, and I always forget where I am, or I forget where I started. That's the problem. I don't want to forget where I started. And also I want to point out what I'm seeing on these seeds. These are contender bush beans from Botanical Interest, but a lot of them, I don't know if I should say a lot. Some of them are broken. This one, you can see a little bit of the tip is broken off. This one is just like a half of the bean. So make sure you're planting a solid bean. It's not going to work out too well if you are planting a broken piece. I can feel the soil is plenty wet, so I don't think I'll need to water them in. It's been raining so much. I don't know if you guys can tell through the screen how humid it is today, but oh my gosh, it's so humid. Like humid more so than it normally is. It feels this humid right before it's about to storm. I really love GreenStalks. I think that, oh, I found like a pile of roots from a previous plant that I had in there. I could leave it in, but it's pretty big. I'm gonna take it out. I used to, when I very first was deciding between a GreenStalk and a garden tower, I thought the garden tower was so cool with the compost system in it. And boy, was I wrong, honestly. The center compost column just was a magnet for any kind of critters to get in there. I couldn't keep them out, and they're, as you might imagine, they're like digging into the center of the garden tower, which means they're digging out my crops that were in the pockets. I just got annoyed with it. Like, that doesn't happen on a GreenStalk. Why don't I just get rid of the garden tower and use the GreenStalk? That's why I sold the garden tower. Now I have room for more GreenStalks. I also need to set 2 more out. before strawberry season, before October. I got a little time before I do that. I'll bring you along on that adventure too. These little seed houses really do a good job at keeping the squirrels out, which is nice. Of course, I have to take them off when the plants get big enough. I'm just trying to eliminate the problem of a squirrel digging up literally the beans that I just planted so it can eat it, you know. All right, that's it for that top row. We're gonna put these seed houses back the right direction, and then we're gonna do the same thing on the second tier. These pop on really easily. All right, now we'll go down to the second tier. Do the same thing, 3 beans. You guys will have to let me know if you have done bush beans like this, 3 per pocket in your GreenStalk before. And did you end up with as many beans as I think I'm gonna get? All right, now let's transplant a basil. I'm gonna attempt to do it while it's assembled. I think I can do it because these plugs are not too big. These are the seeds I started only 2 or 3 weeks ago for basil. I did fertilize. If yours don't look this big, it's time to fertilize. I used a Fox Farm Grow Big. I diluted it a little bit, but I do that frequently, maybe 2 or 3 times a week. And once this gets over the, a little bit of transplant shock, I will start pruning that basil so that once you have basil, if you pinch or if you harvest right above this node right here, then it'll grow into 2 branches. And that's what we want to create that nice big bushy basil. But I don't want to do it right at the same time as transplanting. Let's let it Let it do one job at a time. Recover from transplanting first. Then we'll work on having it bush out. The roots look pretty good. I could thin it out, but I don't know. I'm just gonna leave it. When you buy basil starts at the nursery, they come with several stems. So it can't be that bad. This is already so much easier than the garden tower. The garden tower, you have like such a teeny tiny spot for transplanting. It's like easily half the size of the spot that you get for a GreenStalk transplant. I could disassemble it, but why bother? This is easier, right? We don't need to disassemble unless I need to like refresh soil or if I had a bigger start. These are all Italian Genovese basil. It's my favorite. It's just your classic basil. I really want to make a lot of pesto. You need a lot of basil for pesto. I have like 2 really big basil plants right now. And, well, we'll have to have basil. I want to make some basil salt. I've been seeing a lot of videos about basil salt lately too. All right, so that's my 5 basil starts. These are parsley, but they need more time. I'm not going to transplant them right now. They're too little. So we've got 1 open spot. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 basils. I think I'm going to do some carrots right here. Why don't we do 3 carrots right here? When it comes to thinking about what plants should go where, it's not a big deal when you're talking about smaller plants like bush beans and basil and herbs, but it becomes a bigger deal when you're talking about the big crops, like when I have a broccoli, or when you might have a pepper plant or a tomato plant in here. These seeds are so tiny. I'm going to do scarlet Nance because a Nance variety of carrot is the best tasting carrot, and there's no like weird core or anything. Anyway, like I was saying, how deep are these? 1/2 inch deep. I'm going to do 3 carrots in here, like it said. And we got to worry about the shadows on a really big plant. Because this is a vertical system, these are old roots. Because this is a vertical system, if you have a big crop up here that's going to put a shade on everything below it, you want to be conscious about that and probably reverse the order. So my broccoli I should put down probably near the bottom because it's going to grow on a big stalk like up. And I don't want it to start here, you know, and be shading like everything because broccolis are really big. Carrots, it shouldn't matter where you put them as long as they've got full sun. And we're going to do a whole nother tier of carrots. I can't get enough of carrots. I eat them every single day. Well, one time I ate so many carrots, my skin almost turned orange. It's a true story, I swear. You know, and my friend said her sister-in-law went on a carrot diet and did like carrot juicing and stuff like for every day for like a month, and she was turning orange. You know, carrots are good for you, but maybe we shouldn't be turning orange. Now I'm having trouble remembering where I started. You can always thin out carrot seeds, and luckily the carrot packets come with 500 or 1,000 seeds. It's a whole lot. So you don't have to be too precious about them. Especially considering I don't know if I'm going to have trouble with germination. We'll see. All right, I'm going to get rid of what's in my hand, and then we're done with carrots for now. Did I have anything else I was going to plant? All right, so I think that's it. I'm going to hold off on doing some of these other ones and reserve the space for, we've got 6 broccoli starts that we just made, right? I'm going to reserve that, and I think I'm also going to do, oh, you know, I could do dill. Let me do the dill right now. I'll do 1 tier of dill, and then we'll save 1 tier for broccoli. I'll back up the camera so you guys can see that lower tier. And dill, you know, it is nice to have dill at various stages of maturity in your garden when you're making pickles, because I've had pickle recipes that call for like a dill seed head, like the whole seed head. And you wouldn't have that if you had all of your dill at the same stage and it's all, you know, like in its leafy vegetative growth and it's not going to seed. You want it to stay in your garden when it's in that seed phase if you're making pickles. You gotta have those dill seeds and dill seed heads. So we're gonna transplant these out, and then I'll also probably sow some more in seed starting cells. Maybe that's what I should start in the other tray that I had left off to the side. I also want a lot of oregano, but I also have a lot of oregano in my tea garden. Dill is one of the most fragrant herbs. I once picked a whole lot of dill and put it in water in my kitchen, kind of as like to try to like store it fresh in the kitchen and also to have it kind of like double as a bouquet. I ended up having to like put it in the fridge and undo that because the smell was so strong. The only thing you could smell throughout my whole kitchen and main living area was dill. And I like dill, but maybe not that much. All right, I think that's it. That's my last tier full of dill. Bush beans, basil, carrots, dill, broccoli when it's ready next month. And so I hope this video helps you guys figure out how you're going to think about your planting for your GreenStalks in the fall. My overarching message to you is just to try to get it right between the original and the leaf. I'll send you this. And also just like try a bunch of stuff. I've noticed that with flowers, yes, they can grow, but some of the taller flowers that are like Angelonia or Crossandra, some of those taller flowers, they just need support. Like they were growing and they would be like this, like if they started here, they would be all the way up here and inevitably they were flopping over. So you would need to buy like the GreenStalk trellis, or you'd have to support them some way, or you could choose to just grow a lot of petunias. Petunias draping over the edge would be beautiful. Taurinia is another like draping one. Alyssum drapes. Lobelia drapes. Lobelia is, oh my gosh, I've had blue lobelia on my front porch all summer long in the part shade. It's just a beautiful plant. So it's something to think about whether you want draping plants that don't need support, or if you need some, or if you want some flowers that are taller and might need support. So drop your questions below too. If you guys have more detailed questions about planting in a GreenStalk, I'd love to know what they are. Drop them in the comments below. And if you're interested in buying any GreenStalk products, I'll also share a link to my link tree. And if you click on my link tree, you'll see, it'll take you to my site that collects all of my relevant links. So you'll see the links to my planting guide, the Taproot Garden app. You'll see my links to GreenStalk discount codes, and you'll see my links to Vego Garden discount codes if you're interested in that. So let me know how your GreenStalk is going this fall and what you plan to do in it. And if you have any remaining questions, and let me know if you're buying Dragonfly Teal, because that seed starter kit is so pretty. I love it. And I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.